Hello my friends and welcome once again to this Red Gaming Tech video with myself, Marta. As always, I'm here with the latest news from the tech world from the last 24 or so hours as of the 15th of April. We've got quite a bit to get through today, but the first topic on our itinerary is regarding the Xbox Series X. So basically this is an update regarding wireless audio and voice chat over USB. Now obviously with the Xbox One, the console did not support wireless audio and voice over USB. They of course used their own Xbox wireless technology for wireless connectivity, and obviously there were limited offerings available for the console when it came to wireless headsets. Now obviously the Xbox Series X does not feature an optical out port, and this raised concerns among players that their headsets would not actually be compatible with the upcoming next generation console. But it does seem that it will support wireless audio and voice chat over USB, and this was according to a comment made by the headset manufacturer Astro Gaming. And they said, quote, "We are working with our partners at Microsoft to roll out a firmware update for MixAmp Pro TR, A50 Plus base station and A20 headsets by the launch of the Xbox Series X. This update will include the ability to deliver game surround sound and voice chat via USB. Stay tuned for further updates." Now this was via Twitter, so if perhaps you have any further questions for them regarding a specific headset or any further specificities, do ask them on Twitter, but this does seem to pretty much confirm that it will be supporting wireless chat and audio over USB, which is definitely nice that you won't have to purchase a brand new headset, as well as the most likely very expensive console itself. But we're going to move on from the Xbox Series X to something very interesting regarding AMD and their upcoming 5nm Ryzen processors. Now this is very interesting and comes to us thanks to a news story from Chain News. Of course, you can find that linked in the description below this video, and of course from the previous topic you can find Astro's tweet there for you as well. Now it is unfortunately not in English, so you're going to have to get your Google Translate on to read it, but basically the primary topic of this article was about the cut in 5nm and 7nm production orders from Huawei. But when talking about this and the fact that Apple are kind of picking up the slack in this regard, they did mention something very interesting regarding TSMC and AMD. And they said, quote, "TSMC is said to have developed a 5nm enhanced version of its process specifically for AMD, which has a capacity requirement of no less than 20,000 12-inch wafers per month." Now this was helpfully translated by the retired engineer, so big thank you to him. I have of course included a link to his tweet in the description below this video as well. Now unfortunately we do not have any details on what this enhanced version of the 5nm design is actually going to be. Let's just refresh our memory for a second. TSMC is already saying that the standard 5nm design is going to have a 1.84 times increase in transistor density versus the current 7nm chips. So we're going to see that, and then whatever enhancements they've allegedly made for AMD. If indeed this report is correct, of course there is the very real chance, as of anything that did not come from the mouth of AMD themselves, to be incorrect. Now unfortunately what these improvements could be in terms of like the tweaks that they've actually made, and obviously the performance improvements that we would see as a result, are unfortunately very much open for speculation. So we're going to have to wait and see. Anyway, we're going to move on now to our next topic, and we're going to spend quite a while here for Camp Intel, and the first of which is regarding a chipset. Now this is all thanks to a tweet from Momomo, where basically he shows off various sockets from Intel. We have LGA 1151 and also LGA 1200. Basically he's pointing out here that the Comet Lake socket has a different physical socket layout than LG1151, which would be for Coffee Lake. So the long story short here is that you can't try to throw a Comet Lake CPU into a Coffee Lake motherboard. So unfortunately this does mean that yes, you will need to purchase a new motherboard for a Comet Lake processor if you're currently using Coffee Lake, because they are not compatible due to this particular reason. Now obviously you can find Momomo's tweet linked in the description below this video. So what do we see this time around? Well, it's actually rather interesting because it's going to be something regarding Rocket Lake S. Now you may remember that I touched on Rocket Lake yesterday and how we would most likely start to see information leak out regarding these chips, because they were most likely in the hands of Intel's partners who are now messing around with them, doing benchmarks, tweaking, all that sort of stuff. And before I get into the actual specs that we see here, I just want to stress that this is a very early engineering sample, so everything I'm about to say is of course subject to change. So who we have to thank for this piece of information? We have Rogame over on Twitter, of course, to thank. You can find his tweet linked in the description below this video. So we see once again this showing as a treble zero Intel CPU, but we do see 1.8 GHz base, 8 cores and 16 threads, and Rocket Lake S UDIM for our ERB. Now I'm sure you're all thinking that 1.8 GHz is too low, but that's once again why I stressed that this is a very early engineering sample. As with anything when it comes to engineering samples, this can change and most likely will change. So just keep that tucked under your hat is all I'm saying. But that's not the only thing we have from Rogame today. We also have a benchmark for Tiger Lake U. Once again, as I said, this is Rogame, and of course you can also find this tweet linked in the description below this video. So we see a time spy score this time around for the Tiger Lake U coming in at 2.7 GHz. Once again, this is an engineering sample. But what scores do we actually see here? Well, we see a CPU score of 4654 and a graphics score of 883. We also have a 11th gen time spy score to go from as well. Tiger Lake U i7 1165 G7, 2.8 GHz, CPU score of 4750 and a graphics score of 1150. So lots of juicy stuff there, but the most interesting is obviously the fact that Rocket Lake has been discovered, pretty much flat on the heels of what I was discussing in yesterday's video, sorry, should I say, regarding Rocket Lake and how we were going to see some information come out soon. Hopefully we'll see more information come out over the next few weeks, and we'll see a more concrete idea of what we can expect specs and performance wise. But we're going to move on to our final topic for today, which is regarding the PlayStation VR 2. So it's actually a new patent which has been discovered, which was helpfully posted on patent.yivian.com, and of course you can find their article linked in the description below this video. So essentially this Sony patent is venue mapping for virtual reality spectating of live events. And I'm going to read a small snippet from the abstract here. Quote, "In some implementations, a method is provided including the following operations: receiving over a network from a client device a request to spectate a live event through a head-mounted display by a virtual reality spectator, assigning the virtual reality spectator to a seat in a venue in which the live event takes place, receiving a plurality of video feeds from a plurality of cameras positioned in the venue, assessing video presses and parameters that are stored in association with the seat, blah 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 blah." You get the idea. Now this is actually really cool. Now I do remember when before VR actually released, or when it was very new, I think it was Total Biscuit was talking about the potentiality of, you know, just being able to attend virtual events like a virtual concert, or, you know, wrestling, just for example, which is something that he was actually into. And at the time I thought, yeah, that would be really cool, like events that you would just not really realistically be able to make it to. Like, say for example for me, that would be a really cool gig that's taking place in America somewhere. That would not just be realistic for me to get to just for that. So the ability to put on a VR headset and attend that event, you know, not for real, but feel like you're there, now that has me very interested. and if this is implemented in the PSVR 2, I could see much more uptake of this. Now obviously having it for gaming is great, but one of the problems that we've had across all the VR platforms, regardless if it's, you know, the Vive or the new one from Valve, or, you know, the Oculus or the original PlayStation VR, there was just a lack of killer apps, like killer games, real system sellers that make you want to spend the extra like £100 or dollars or whatever on top of what you already spent for the console itself. Not exactly cheap, as I'm sure you'd agree. So for you to have more use of this very expensive piece of hardware to be able to virtually attend, you know, gigs or theatre productions or whatever. It could literally be anything where the venue is willing to have these VR cameras sat in a seat. That could be really, really cool and may just add to the value proposition of this particular headset. Let me know your thoughts on this, guys. Would you be interested in something like this? Would this make you more likely to buy a VR headset if this sort of game situation continues as it is? Let me know in the comments, and of course give me your feedback on everything we discussed today. As always, your support really does make a huge difference, so thank you again for watching. Bye bye.
I'm starting this video off by
the Xbox One X gets a steep price drop, and you know what? I think it might actually be worth picking up. And Nintendo Switch rumors are circulating once again about new hardware potentially coming from Nintendo when it comes to the Nintendo Switch family of systems. But this leak is actually coming from, well, it's coming from Nintendo themselves, and that's where things get very interesting. What's going on, guys? I'm RGT85. If this is your first time on the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button. But without any further ado, let's talk about what's going on in the world of video games. So this current console generation has been very interesting for the Xbox brand, and probably not as successful as they would have wanted it to be, but I think Xbox did do some good things this console generation. Things like Xbox Game Pass. Like, you can't deny how great of a value something like Xbox Game Pass is. Of course, everyone is talking about the Xbox Series X, the upcoming system coming to us from Xbox coming this holiday season. Has a lot of people excited. We've seen a game running on it. We've seen what the system looks like, which is more than we can say for the PlayStation 5. So Xbox consumer relations are actually very good right now. But one thing that was interesting this console generation was just how many Xbox One systems we got, because actually we got 4 of them. You had the Xbox One VCR edition, that big clunky thing that was the first system to come out. Then we got the Xbox One S, a more premium system that was actually cheaper than what the Xbox One VCR was initially released for at. We then of course got the Xbox One X, which was the most powerful system on the market, and the Xbox One SAD edition, or the all digital edition, which we'll actually talk about and touch on later on in this video. But I thought it was very interesting that Microsoft introduced 4 systems into the Xbox economy when it came to the Xbox One system brands. But like I said, the Xbox One X was the most powerful system and still is the most powerful system on the marketplace. And now you can get it for pretty cheap, and honestly, I'm kind of considering getting one. So the Xbox One X is now available for just $299.99, which of course is a lot cheaper than the $500 it was released at. And it is still the premium system that is available on the marketplace. If you want things like the best resolutions, the best frame rates, you're looking at the Xbox One X to get those things on your home console. Of course, we saw amazing things that it does with original Xbox games or Xbox One games by adding in things like more textures, higher fidelity textures, better resolutions, and better frame rates. So you can really do a lot with the Xbox One X. But why would you want to buy an Xbox One